This is FYI, conversations with interesting people about fascinating projects happening in Ohio.
And I'm JT. Welcome to FYI. So nice to have you along today. Today's interesting person is Nikki Bees. Nikki Bees, you're recruiting missionaries. Is that how that works? I just love the way you guys word what you're doing. It really is so true, but you're doing it with a national bike ride. Okay, you've got my interest. What in the world is going on, Nikki? Welcome. Nice to have you today.
Thank you, JT, for having me and for sharing about biking for babies. So, we proclaim the dignity of human life by biking across the country, by uniting cycling with the formation of these young adult missionaries into missionary disciples of Jesus Christ. So, our goal is to renew a culture in support of life, in support of and welcoming new life with joy. And we want to help moms in unplanned, difficult, and at risk pregnancies. And so we take these young adults, we engage them in a virtual formation program. They live all across the country, or even we've had a missionary from Canada or one from Northern Ireland. And we introduce them to pregnancy resource centers, which are organizations that offer resources and services to women in these difficult pregnancy situations and help them through their pregnancy, sometimes housing them in a maternity home and beyond the birth of the child so that mom can be supported in her crisis and really have the community rallying around her.
Okay, I like what you're doing. How are bikes involved?
Yes, we get that a lot.
Where did the bikes come? Babies can't ride bikes. How did bikes get
It is
involved?
it is not biking with babies. It is
Okay,
biking for babies.
for babies. Okay, I
For
gotcha.
babies, for their mamas. So we do this program and we have the pregnancy centers that we partner with, and we want to help them so that they can serve these women and their children. So we go on this bicycle ride, which is not your everyday bicycle ride. It is 600 miles across the country. We have 9 routes. Yes, 600 miles. So in 6 days, 600 miles. So it's an average of 100 miles a day. And these young adults who participate with us as missionaries do this cross country trek really to raise awareness and financial support for our pregnancy centers.
Okay, so this is sort of like I don't mean to use the term, but walk for life, where they're getting sponsored to ride a bike to raise money and support pregnancy care centers. Yes?
Mhm. It is very similar, yes. So
I don't mean to, yeah, but I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So help me
yeah, I
out
mean,
here.
like St. Jude does, the runs to raise
Okay.
money for their work. And so it is the bicycle is the vehicle by which we promote the pregnancy centers. And what we really want to do is invite people into a conversation about life, about every life being a gift, and that, your life, JT, matters, your listeners' lives matter. And we live in a culture that really lives for convenience and lives in a way to prevent suffering and avoid suffering. And we want to help people who are suffering, absolutely. But we really call these young adults to enter into this crazy mileage to suffer for these women for the sake of them and their children, and to get a little uncomfortable because Christ calls us out of ourselves to use our gifts to uplift others. So we absolutely want to raise money for these women. And we also want to bring about that cultural shift, one that is supportive of the other, because God made us for each other. He made us to help one another.
Yeah, that's so cool. I like that. Okay, so biking for babies. Real quick, I'll ask this again, but where can people get more information? I'm guessing there's probably a website or something like that.
Yes, we are everywhere. So bikingforbabies.com. It's biking,
Okay.
FOR babies.com. And that's where people can find information about our ride that's coming up. It starts on July 8th through the 13th. We've got those 9 routes, 600 miles each. And we're also on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I encourage you to go there and just watch our missionaries. They are so joyful. And we just like to have a lot of fun when we're out there on the road. But yeah, social media, website.
Okay, now talk about the 600 miles. Are there different legs of it, or because I understand you're coming through Ohio? How does that work? How does that route
Yes.
get picked, and how did Ohio make the trip?
Great question. So like I said, we have the 9 routes, and we have 6 routes that head to St. Louis, Missouri. We have 3 routes that head to Arlington. So of the 6 routes that go to Missouri, we have Ohio, one of the Columbus routes, Minnesota, Michigan, Alabama, Wisconsin, and Nebraska, all heading in to converge in St. Louis. And then the same thing happening over in Arlington with New York, Ohio, and North Carolina as the starting points. So the missionaries participate in the entire leg of their route. So the 600 miles, the goal is that the rider missionaries do every mile. And then we have support crew missionaries who are in the support vehicle, praying for the riders, feeding, watering, sunscreening them, helping them navigate to get from A to B safely. You asked about Ohio. So we actually so we've been around since 2009. And in about 2017, we decided to go from 1 or 2 routes, which is how we started. The first year we started was a 600-mile trek across Illinois. And then we went from New Orleans to Illinois, so over 1,200 miles. And then as we just expanded, trying different routes, we decided to do the Shape of Christ cross across the country. So we started in Wisconsin down to St. Louis, Ohio into St. Louis, Kansas, and then Mississippi. So we were biking across the country, covering the nation in prayer. And now it kind of looks like a giant spider web. But Ohio has stuck around and is the only state that has 2 routes that start, one going to Arlington and one going to St. Louis.
Well, that's because we're the heart of it all. So
You are the heart of America.
interesting. You said 2009. So
Mhm.
you've been doing this a while. So tell me, Nikki, have you ridden 600 miles yourself? Will you be doing it this year?
Good question, and one that I unfortunately say no to because I actually didn't found Biking for Babies. We were
Okay.
founded by 2 college-age men, Mike and Jimmy, who really were in kind of a Bible study together, and they were both triathletes, incredibly physically gifted individuals. And they realized that they needed to do something. They felt very convicted about helping women in these situations where they would consider having an abortion, and they needed help. So they found a local pregnancy center in Illinois, Living Alternatives, and that's why Mike and Jimmy started Biking for Babies, and then realized the incredible opportunity we have to help young adults find a place and really, an opportunity to use their gifts to help these women to put forth their pro-life beliefs. So I got involved a couple years later, and I got my then boyfriend, now husband, signed up to ride on that, 1,200 or so mile New Orleans route. I didn't even go that year,
But you
but I
sent
was.
him.
I
You
know,
sent
and
him.
yes, I sent him. He had an incredible experience, and he was not even a road biker at that time. He was a volleyball player, not an endurance athlete, but he wanted to help bring on a new pregnancy center, and they needed another missionary in order to do it that year. At the end of that year, he said, "No way, I can't, I won't ever be able to do this again." I mean, it completely wiped him. He hadn't trained like he should. He didn't know that he needed to train to that degree. 60 miles was the farthest he had ridden before the 1,200-mile ride. Anyways, he went to hand his check at the end of his season fundraising. He handed the pregnancy center director his check, and they said, "Well, thank you so much." They had this amazing moment with him and the tour of the center, and they said, "Would you do this again for us?" And he was like, "Yeah." So he biked another 7 years, and at that point we were married, and I would stay home with the kids while he was biking every year. And then in 2018, I was going back. So I was in the corporate retail management world from the first part of my career. And I was a breadwinner because my husband was a PhD student for a while. And in a very Holy Spirit led moment, Kevin said, "Why don't you just be the executive director of Biking for Babies?" And got me signed up, just like I got him signed up the years prior. So I'm a runner by just kind of my natural desire is just to like hit the road. But I have this cognitive dissonance that I need to get on the bike. But now I'm the one they call when things go wrong. So
Sure.
not on the bike this year.
Yeah, neat. Well, there are many tasks required in making biking for babies work. I get it. I get it. My full disclosure, I've oftentimes run sound and supported pregnancy care centers across Ohio because I've always said, you know what? The job that is done in a pregnancy care center is not going to be done by me very well. However, there are things I can do to support the cause, and it sounds like that's what missionaries are being asked to do with their bike. And I love the concept of what you're doing, and so excited, so excited. Your boyfriend, now husband, uh, sounds like a jewel to continue helping out. Is he riding this year?
No, actually,
No.
nope. Neither one of us is riding this year, which is very different because he rode for another 8 years after his first time riding. But we will be at the Celebration of Life in St. Louis, and with all of the kind of logistics that I do behind the scenes, putting the routes together, and then we get to go to the end of ride. There's 2 of those Celebration of Life events. So I know that it's not near your listeners, but one in St. Louis, one in Arlington, and it's hundreds of people gathered to support these young people who have just completed an incredible endeavor for the mamas and the babies that need our help, and we get to celebrate them, and it's a wonderful opportunity.
That is so cool. So let's talk about money real quick. Um, how much does the average biker? Is there a limit that they're asked to raise? Is it
Mhm.
just kind of open? How does that work?
So on average, in the last few years, we've seen a missionary raises about $4,500. So
Wow.
average means above or below. And so our missionaries they discern, they pray, how much does God want me to raise in this mission? Who does he want me to speak to? Because we go first to our friends and our family and invite them into this mission spiritually and financially. But then our goal is to have conversations with people who may not think the same way that we do about pregnancy centers or abortion, because we want to have a very non confrontational, loving, inviting conversation. Because that's the only way we're really going to encourage people to have a conversion of heart or mind, both. And so raising the funds we know is so vital to help for these women, and it really helps us get out there and have these conversations.
So cool. I love what you're doing. I love it. I love it. Bikingforbabies.com. Now, here in Ohio, your big finale isn't here. You are riding through Ohio. Will we
Mhm.
see riders riding through Ohio? I think I heard Dayton was on
Mhm.
the route. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So the 2 teams start in Columbus, one heads to Steubenville and one heads to Dayton. So it'll go Dayton, and then we actually head to Indianapolis on our way to St. Louis. So yes, if you see us out on the road, I mean, cheer us on, give a friendly honk. You can say hi to the team. We don't have any public events in that area, but we would love for you guys to wave us on and be praying for us while we're on the road.
Well, and I'm hoping folks can go to bikingforbabies.com and make a donation just free and clear if they want to. Yes?
Yes, at bikingforbabies.com/give.
Yeah, awesome. Nikki, so cool. I love what you're doing, and I pray for a great event. Now, w- it all kind of coordinates at the same time, so it's probably a little bit of a logistic challenge at times. Yes.
Yes, yeah, we have 92 missionaries this year, so it's a lot of people to kind of figure out all the pieces as they come together, and we're actually very blessed to be supported by host families and host churches along the way. So, it is a lot of people to be coordinating with, but it comes together. God always provides.
Yeah, awesome. That is so cool. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for your time today, and we pray blessings on this year event, and um, come through Ohio again. So.
Awesome. Thanks so
Thanks,
much. I
thanks for
appreciate
what
it.
you're doing, Nikki. Yep, thank you so much. Again, if you've just tuned in, bikingforbabies.com and get involved and help them out. Thanks, Nikki.
Thanks, JT.